Hello everyone, welcome back to Classic Automotive Services. Right, this week, as you can see, there's something missing from here. If you've been following our videos, we had the Lotus engine on the stand, sorting it all out, and it's not on here because it's now back in the car. So we'll have a little look around it. It's not running just yet. We've still got a few odds and ends to sort out on it before we can actually fire it back up. One of which is to clean and paint the starter motor because that's in quite a state, which is actually over here. Here's the starter motor, which actually goes to show what the actual engine looked like, because obviously this was on the engine, and it shows how bad the engine actually looked before we started taking it out. So we'll have a look around in a second. The other thing I've done is I've repaired the heat shield. It's got a bit grubby again now. So the heat shield, this goes on the left-hand side of the on the inner wheel arch, which shields the exhaust from the suspension and the brakes and everything. And where the exhaust had been blowing previously, it melted it here. So I've managed to carefully straighten it, and then I've had to trim about 5mm off of it just to get the edge nice and straight again, because it was a little bit jagged. So we've sorted that out. But if we have a look in the engine bay, the engine is actually back in the car and looking very, very tidy in there now. So we've been going through replumbing it all and connecting it all back up. So we've got 90% of it connected up now. All the oil lines are on. Oil filter is primed and back on. All the coolant hoses are on except for the coolant reservoir. I've got to flush that out because it's full of sludge in the inside of it. Before we put the engine back in, we did flush the whole coolant system on the car. So we pushed it outside, stuck a hose pipe up the radiator hoses, and flushed all the pipes that go through the chassis, the radiator, heater matrix, etc. And so until it was just flowing nice, clear, clean water out the other hose. So that's all flushed, ready to go. But we've been sorting out all the plumbing and the cables, as I don't know whether it's how Lotus did it, as they were quite hurriedly put together back in the day, or whether it was just over the years people have rerouted things wrongly. But nothing was clipped up as it should be. Well, as I think it should be anyway. Cables and hoses were just left dangling, chafing on things, and it's just not right. Like the servo hose comes up with the coolant hose, and then it came across the back of the alternator to the inlet manifold, which I can't reach from here. I come around here. This one's the servo hose. So it came up the back of the alternator and was just left dangling loose in here, rubbing on the carbs, and it just weren't good. So I rerouted it slightly, and I've put a nice pipe in to clip it up with, and then just got rubber on each end, connect it back up to the steel pipe, which then runs down the length of the car to the front. So that's like one of the things that had to be sorted out. Other things like the clutch line, that was just left dangling, nothing to clip it up to, so we've clipped all that up, and we're now in the process of sorting the wiring out, which again has all been rubbing and chafing. If I just grab some of the loom, hang on, there's a fuel line. If we look at the wiring in here, first of all, we've got some bad joints that have been repaired over the years on here on the alternator wiring, which I don't know how they've been done, whether they've been soldered or what. So I'll take this heat shrinking off and check the joints, repair if necessary, and then put some heat shrink back on them to make sure they're good. But if we look in places, all the tape is coming off here. Where my hand is, it's all just been coming off, where it's all been rubbing and chafing on things that it shouldn't be, because again, nothing was actually clipped up. Nothing was routed correctly and clipped up correctly. So that's what we're in the process of doing. Another prime example is if you look straight down there, where the wire and loom's just been chafed on the chassis, you can see the loom. We've got this blue wire. Where that blue wire goes in, you've got all the exposed wires. on the main loom. If I give it a little pull, you'll be able to see it. So things like that, it's not good. Eventually, that will rub through the actual wiring, short out, and then it'll potentially cause a fire. So that's not what you need. So we'll have a look underneath as well, because it does look quite nice from underneath. Underneath, as you can see, we've got all the gearbox all back in and connected up. We had to sort out the gear linkage rods, as the bushes had been replaced. They got little tight, I suppose they're like nylon or some sort of plastic top hat bush in these rods, and they were like brand new. But all the gear selectors were so sloppy. They must have had between, I don't know, 5-8 millimeters of movement in them, and it's because the actual rods had worn oval. So what I had done is I've removed the rods, and I managed to bore the actual hole. There's enough meat on the actual eyelet to bore it out considerably to make it round again. I've then sleeved it with a stainless steel bush and trimmed it down, then reamed that to size to take the original bushes. So they're a nice tight fit now. It's all pressed together and it's all nice and free. Works perfectly as it should do. No play in it. So there's another one there, another one up there, and that one's just on a cable. So there's quite a few joints on it, and quite a lot of setting up to do as well, to get the gear stick in the right place and get the gear selector so they'll work properly, because you've got this rod here which does forward and backwards, and then this cable on the other side activates this, which pushes this shaft in and out to go sideways, basically. So there's quite a lot of setting up to do on them. But yep, we've got all the suspension back together and cleaned up and painted. We've got the breather tubes on the axle, if you come around this side, all routed correctly. On the cross member, I've got holes in the cross member, so these breather tubes go right through the cross member and out the back. We've then the actual shifter cable, we've rebound that slightly in places where it was the casing was breaking up, and then to stop it from flapping around, because there was literally nothing holding it from here forwards. Again, I fitted some nice little P-clips to the sump, if you look in there, to hold the cable nice and straight, nice and tight. Got 2 little P-clips on the sump, so which I fitted, so the cable's nice and tight. It can't go anywhere. It's not chafing on anything, so it's going to make it just makes it a better car, a more reliable car. So it should have been done out of the factory, really, but I don't think they were. Things like that, I don't think Lotus really cared from what I can make out, but it's coming along. What else have we done on this? Oh, I've got the exhaust downpipes all cleaned up and on. Again, new gasket, new Metlock nuts. That's to here. The next thing we've got to do as well, got to remove the catalytic converter, because we're not running a catalytic converter on it. Don't need to on this year of car in UK spec. It's because it was an American spec car that it's got a catalytic converter. So we're going to remove that and get the rest of the exhaust system fitted up. And hopefully early part of next week, we can put fluids in it and actually get it back up and running. As like I've said, all we've got to do is we've got to drain the fuel tanks and get all the fuel out of them and get some decent amount of fresh fuel in it. Then we've got to, I'm going to fit an inline fuel filter as well, as it hasn't got one. Just to, again, as a service item, I'll make up a little bracket and mount that nicely somewhere. So that was nice, easy access to do. What else have we got to do on it? I'll clean up the starter motor, oil, coolant. I've bought a vacuum fill kit, because from what I've read, these are actually quite hard to bleed off the coolant systems on. So I've bought a vacuum filling kit, so we can vacuum the whole system and vacuum fill it, so we don't get any airlocks, and also we can test for leaks at the same time. So because if it doesn't hold a vacuum, it's not going to hold coolant. So we can test for any leaks and make sure it's all good before we put coolant in it. And then, probably by the end of Monday, I would have thought it'll be close to firing up, if not running. And we can then run it to temperature, and check order and get the engine set up. Because you're obviously going to set the carbs up now because we've rebuilt them. They've got a base setting on them, but they will need synchronising and setting. Ignition timing will need setting, things like that. And after that, it's very close to being roadworthy again. We've got to clean up all the wheels, new tyres, go through the brakes, etc. So it's just after this engine's sorted out, it's not far off being back on the road. So we have polished up we've done a slight bit of polishing on one of the wheels. It does need more polishing. It was just a quick polish to see if they would come up, and it has come up fairly well. As they're very, very dull, and they shouldn't be diamond cut. I've seen a lot of these Wolfrace slot mags where people have had diamond cut, then they won't have diamond cut. Diamond cutting wasn't really around in the 70s, I don't think. These were just polished aluminium, so that's what they'll be going back to. I think that's about where we're up to on the Lotus. Other than people may have spotted the rear plate is uncovered now. We've got the plates on it, which we can show. Go show the front one. It's better. So we've got the new registration on it. Can you see it? So, yep. R-Reg Lotus. So, very nice. So, but that's where we're up to on the Lotus. We have got one other thing, which we'll show you, which is actually my latest purchase. And I've wanted one for quite some years now. It is a project, and it does need a lot of work. But the good thing is it's not actually rotten, as in seals, floors. The actual structure of the car is very, very good. It's completely sound. It's got a little bit of rock behind there, behind where the headlights sit and the battery tray. But I'm going to have a look so if we can get them panels, because they're quite an easy panel to replace by the look of it. But other than that, it just needs a lot of work. So we'll have a quick look at that. So we've got an SD1, and yes, it is a 3.5 litre SD1. So it got dropped off yesterday, and the engine was seized when it arrived, which I did know, and I put a breaker bar on the crank yesterday, and I managed to work it a little bit, and it came through again. So either way, the engine will be coming apart, as it's low on compression on one of the cylinders. You can hear that when you crank it over. So the engine will be coming apart and be built anyway. But I did have it running. It was only running on about 5 cylinders, so it's quite poorly. It's a 5-speed manual car, and the original colour of this car is also Moonraker Blue, which is the colour I wanted. So someone started doing some horrible bodywork on it. I'm glad they didn't go any further. They've put these sort of metal wheel arch extensions on, which, if they were done better, I think they would suit the car. They're too square and bulky. They don't look right. If they were done better, I think they would look quite nice. Whether I'll alter them or just remove them at the moment, I don't know. We'll have to see. But it's got the blue velour interior in it as well. It's a 1983 car, so it is a facelift, which again is the one I want. I think the facelift car looked a lot better than the early ones, and it will be having the full Vitesse front bumper and that on it. So the front balance with the big air dam on it. It's already got the Vitesse wheels, and it's already got the Vitesse rubber spoiler. So it's already halfway there. So I'm not going to build it as an actual Vitesse, because trying to find all the injection system and everything else is not good. And I also want the car to be reliable, as I want it to be a daily driver. So it's going to be a Vitesse lookalike, is a better way to put it. But that is it. It looks quite rough and ready. Half the interior is stripped out, but it is what it is. So I can build it into what I want it to be, and go from there. So I'm going to try and do weekends on it, and try and have it on the road for some time, sort of around this time next year. That's the aim anyway. And then use it as a daily driver and a family car. So it'd be a nice family classic. So, but I think on that note, that's all we've got this week. Hopefully next week we'll pull the engine out of TR7 and start pulling the head. Once we've got the Lotus running, I'll pull the engine out of the TR7. We'll start getting that sorted out as well. But yep, I think on that note, we'll put the pictures of all the gear linkages in the engine going back in the Lotus at the end. We will see you next week. So please like and subscribe. See you next week.